All right. What's happening, world? What's happening, YouTube? All our all our followers, our friends, supporters. We are RegalRadio.com, War Media, War on Anchor, and War Media on YouTube. We are back at it again, once again. The In the Building show, our eighth episode, and a very special episode, I like to say. Should have some fun with this one. You can see Dave always riding with me, and we got a great guest this week. I was speaking a lot last week about this being a respite for sports, but sports being how it is, it creeps up in your life in the weirdest ways. And we'll talk about how we got this gentleman in a little bit. But this is a guy you may not know by name, but he's done some special things in the world of basketball, and we have the utmost pleasure of being able to sit with him this week as an NBA Finals game is going on. I got it on my TV. I guess, Mark, I guess you're following it as well. Dave, probably not as much, but Mark is following it as well. But Mark Wade is our guest, as you can see, and I'm gonna go into your credentials in a minute, Mark. First, just want to say thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
And probably the main credential that Mark has is that he was a former NBA player, which is something that precious few people can say. And like I say, just getting to be able to sit with a former NBA guy as the NBA Finals are going on is definitely a pleasure. So we appreciate you coming on with us, Mark. And like I say, how you doing? First off,
I'm doing good. It's a pleasure to be on. It's good to be able to talk about some things about basketball. You don't realize how much fun it was until you get older, and that's all you have is your memories. But appreciate you guys having me on. Definitely.
Yeah. And Dave, thank you for bringing Mark on. Like I said, we'll get into y'all relationship specifically, though. This is a Dave booking. So thanks for that, man. But before we get into our conversation, how you doing, man? How's your week been?
Oh, good. Had a safe ride on Sunday, so good. No complaints.
Yeah, so we'll say that first off. That Mark and Dave met. You met in a group of cyclists out there, black male cyclists in Los Angeles.
It's called Brothers on the Move.
And, Brothers on the Move. Cool name. Okay.
Yeah. And
y'all both are part of that.
Yeah.
Okay. And like I said, we'll get more into that in a minute. But I want to just get into my sports journalism bag and get all this stuff out before we get into that stuff. But it's about to be halftime with this game 4. The Lakers up 2-1. They're looking to maintain control of the series, and Miami had a great game 3, Jimmy Butler and everything, and had a historic game, one of the few triple doubles ever in the NBA Finals. And as we get into your credentials, Mark, for those who don't know, Mark played in the NBA in the late 80s and into the early 90s. Had 2 short stints, one with the Golden State Warriors and one with the Dallas Mavericks. And first off, like, as a former NBA guy, man, what's it like for you? And also, a big time NCAA player as well. We'll get into all this stuff, but and the coach as well. But as a former NBA guy, what's it like for you to look at the game now and to look at what the NBA Finals now? You're as a LA native looking at the Lakers resurrect themselves again. What's it been like watching this series for you?
Well, we talked about it off air. It's a catch-22. I'm an old school, so I'm into the competition. I'm into the competitiveness. So it gets kind of hard sometimes to watch it because as an old head, you see it more as entertainment now than competition because the NBA is taking away the physical play, the bumping and grinding. And being from LA, just watching the Lakers after 10 years of disappearance from the playoffs and being at this level, it's fun to see them back. It's fun to watch LeBron reach the pinnacle again, doing what he's done for the last 10 years, which is getting to the NBA Finals. So I'm excited for LA. And it's like I said, I don't watch it as much as I used to, but I'm still an LA fan because I was born and raised here.
LeBron brings about a lot of different feelings in different players and longtime watchers of the game. Like, what is your take on LeBron? Like, you know, I'm guessing you think that he could have competed in your era or any other era, but you know, there's also things about him that people, you know, very much like or dislike. You know, what's your take on him?
Well, I've watched LeBron since he was in the 10th grade when I was doing college recruiting. Saw him play for a team out of Ohio. So and a lot of people don't realize he actually played football. So this is where it kind of throws me off is I think he could be as physical as people thinks he is. I believe if he grew up and played in the 80s and 90s, he would probably be recognized as the greatest player hands down. But I think a lot of old heads and people who watch the 80s and 90s knock him because of this is more of an entertainment generation. And we seem to find at times that LeBron doesn't physically impose his will on people. I told somebody the other day, I think if he wanted to, he could probably play another 5 to 10 years if he decided to be just a four-man and not worry about bringing the ball up and wasting all that energy and post up and play out of the post. He could probably play in 5 to 10 years because he's that gifted. So, you know, it's fun to watch him because I know how talented he is. And I tell people he's the greatest athlete to ever play basketball. And I think where he loses the debate GOAT for some of us is the fact that we just don't watch him dominate, take, and impose his will at times that we think that Michael Jordan would have. And that's my only knock against LeBron. Sometimes I just wish he would impose his will, put somebody on their butt, and then walk over him and say, I'm the GOAT. And I think he's just really a nice guy deep down.
Yeah, a little bit too nice at times, right? Yeah.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. And it's interesting because, like you say, he could be as physically dominant as any player, particularly from position to position, that there's ever been in the league. But it's sort of like Shaq in a way. But Shaq, as much as a gentle giant as he could be, he also unleashed himself at particular times when he needed to. And you know, I think Brian does that at times, but he just lets people into his realm, like with Jimmy in Game 3. Like Jimmy was bodying him for a lot of that game.
I think he held back.
Taking him to the hole and all that stuff. And Jimmy really shouldn't be allowed to do that.
And that's where I get frustrated with LeBron at times because I know his physical stature. And there's nobody in the NBA that could guard him because he's either too fast or too big for anybody. And there's times he allows himself to almost play with gets kind of passive. And again, and I hate to feel like I'm knocking him because there's nothing. I just think LeBron is an unbelievably nice guy, and there's times as a former athlete, I wish he would crush some people and let them know this is my court and I'm the best player in the game, and he does that. That's what frustrates me. Even now watching the game tonight, LeBron could dominate it at will, but he just doesn't. I want to say selfish because to me at points there's times I wish he would be much more selfish and decide I'm going to. Sorry about this.
Yeah, definitely.
Bad for you guys.
It's a little bit jumpy, but you know we've had worse.
Okay. But
there you go. Mute.
Yeah, he definitely
still mute.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I was on mute because that had some background noise.
And I enjoy watching
interfere with Mark.
Okay. But Mark, you know, you spoke a little bit about the GOAT debate there, and you know, given the era that you played in and the eras that I'm sure you could draw on as a younger man watching the game, are you a MJ as GOAT guy, or do you go back to other players like maybe Magic or Kareem or you know or Bill Russell? Who was the guys that you put up as the GOATs or the GOAT?
I think it's multiple. I think because of what Mike has done with the shoes and the championships, we all label Mike. But there's a group of about 5 to 7 players that I say to myself, you know, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. We continue to forget about Magic Johnson.
Yeah.
Me being a small guard, and I've been around Isaiah. I think that he did on the basketball court.
Are you putting Isaiah up
But
there?
I would say that Jordan. Yeah, I watched Isaiah up close, and I was actually on the court against the Pistons in a preseason game. And Isaiah, I had a conversation with him during the middle of the game, and as he was supposed to be, he actually gave me a pass, told me what they were about to do on defense, and allowed me to bring the ball up when I was shaking in my boots. So yeah, he's got my respect, and I think he's one of the top, if not top, he's one of the top 10 players to play in the game.
That's you definitely get a lot of love from our audience. You know, we got a lot of Chicagoans, of course, in our audience, and you know, we have a love-hate relationship with Isaiah, but mostly love because you know he is a Chicagoan and we represent our own. You know, but I can see him definitely. I'm not surprised they treated you that way because you being a short guy as well, he probably saw a lot of himself in you. When you know, being a small guard, I should say, not say short, but small guard. And you know, let me get into that right quick about your game. I look at you online and on Basketball Reference and stuff, the stat sites that they measured you as 5'10". Were you actually 5'10", or did they give you a little boost?
Hold on. Mark is taller than me by at least 2 inches. So they actually made him shorter. They made him shorter actually.
Somewhere
they made
between 5'11" and 6.
Yeah, Mark's taller.
Yeah,
Mark's got more than me.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
see, I do this. Okay, I knew this would be a good place for you to jump in, Dave, because you like to talk about height. So that's good. That's good though. They shortened. Why do you think they made you shorter than they? Because usually they give guys a little bit more than they really actually are. See, Bunk. Hopefully, you could come back in soon. But you say from experience, Dave, that he's a couple inches taller than you.
Yeah, so he's at least 6 even. Yeah.
Still, that's not an ideal height for the pro game in any era, but you know
it isn't. But I think during that time, you had him, you had people like him, you had Isaiah, you have So I mean,
No, I'm saying it takes a lot for a player that height to play at that top level, and usually the guys who we see play at that height, they do it extremely well, like Isaiah, like Allen Iverson,
right?
Tiny Archibald, people like that. Mark, you good?
Mark.
Guys, my connection keeps going out. Can you guys hear me now?
Yeah,
we can hear you. Yeah, but I say before you jumped out, why do you think that they shortchanged your height there a little bit on the measurements? Can you hear us?
I think I might have had on a short pair of shoes or something. They probably got me at barefoot. I'm close. I'm around. But it's funny though. A lot of people who know me, when they walk up and stand next to me, they'll make the comment that I looked a lot shorter on the court because I'm always standing next to guys 6'8", 6'9", which makes me look 5'10", 5'9".
Yeah, like we just said, while you were getting yourself together, like it's not an easy thing for a guy your height, at around that 6 feet. A lot of the greatest players in the league have played at that height, but it's not an easy thing to play at that height in the NBA.
I'm trying to find the right spot for you guys to keep this connection going.
Okay.
Can you guys hear me now?
Just try to. We can hear you fine. If you can just try to keep talking, we'll see how we can do.
Okay, yeah, because I keep going in and out, and it'll go out, and I can't hear what you're saying.
Yeah, we're hearing you fine still. It just when you talk, we can hear you. So.
So much. Hey guys, quick question.
Yeah.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Quick question. Take a 2-minute break to find. I'm gonna take a 2-minute break to find a new spot so I could get a better connection.
Okay, yeah, do what you got to do. Me and Dave will be fine in the meantime.
Let me see if I can find a better connection.
Okay, yeah, do what you got to do. Thanks, Mark.
All right, yeah. Okay. Sorry, I kept muting myself because I had some environmental sounds that I was trying to block out.
Environmental sounds, or was it the kids?
The kids, of course, the kids.
I'd say I hope it wasn't owls or nothing in your house.
No. Unless children are making owl noise.
Yeah, right. I saw them a video.
Can you guys hear me good now?
Okay, well, Mark, we just heard you a bit there. You think this working better there? Well, Mark's still working on it, but yeah. But I saw a video of the girls doing some what's that, the paper mache or something?
Yeah,
like the birds and stuff. So are they in the birds a lot right now?
I just think they were working on that project on the one-off. Before I got on the show, Layla was showing me some invention she made out of boxes, so it's always something new. It's not like it's not a consistent theme. Like things
invention with boxes.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to articulate what she had made, but it was imaginative.
I think we need someone to shift the paradigm in box innovation.
Yeah, but she had an invention she wanted to show me, so yeah, she had shared that. But they're always working on something different.
Never a dull moment.
Never a dull moment.
But go ahead.
No, never a dull moment. But yeah, so
we could go over some things as Mark gets back to us, but
yeah,
it looks like he's starting to connect back. But we doing the show today again on Tuesday, back on Tuesday, but we're gonna jump back to Wednesdays for a few weeks at least after this, at least through the election week. We ain't gonna do a show on election day, which is Tuesday, but the day after. We gonna try to let some things sort themselves out before we go on, because that might be an emotional day, emotional show. So we'll see how that goes.
It'd be like, yeah,
but
yeah.
But that's gonna be our schedule. Try to keep up with us. Like Wednesdays starting again next week for a few weeks, and let's see if Mark is good to go back on. All right, Mark.
Yes, can you guys hear me now?
Yeah, we can hear and see you.
Yeah.
Beautiful. I think I got a better spot now.
Okay, we hope so. You sound good right now. Yeah.
Beautiful.
Okay, you hearing us good?
Yep.
Great. But let's get back to some ball talk. It looks like the game is at halftime now. Pretty games getting pretty closely contested. And do you think that Miami seems to be more of a old school type of team? Starting with Butler on down. Do you think they got a chance to really make this a series?
Well, see, and that's where I get frustrated because physically, Miami shouldn't be on the court with the Lakers. The Lakers are the only complete old school kind of team because they have the size, they have the smalls, they have wings that can play any type of basketball. And Miami, to me, is part of this 3-point shooting gimmick of guys who are 6'4" to 6'7", and they should not be able to play against LeBron and AD. And I get frustrated by it, but that's the state of the game. And I think because of the way Miami plays, because Miami is a cohesive team, they have a shot of pushing the Lakers. But an old head like me says they shouldn't even be on the court with the Lakers at all.
Okay.
But Jimmy Butler is tough as nails, and he allows those guys to play with a lot more toughness than they have. Because when you talk about Tyler Hero, Duncan, and a couple of the other players, they're not defensive players at all, but they'll tell you Miami's a great defensive team. And what Miami is a cohesive defensive team that tries to stay between you and the basket. And so it makes them look like they're playing great defense, but to me, most of it is bad offense by a lot of these NBA teams, especially a team like Milwaukee with the MVP on the team, and Milwaukee couldn't beat Miami at all. And that's sad.
Yeah, that's disappointing. That definitely was a disappointing, probably the biggest one in the playoffs so far with Giannis. And you talk about a guy who's physically gifted, but doesn't seem to take over games the way that he needs to. He just, they keep talking about him learning from Kobe and learning from people who had these killer instincts, but he just not showing it yet in his game.
When I think what people don't realize, the struggle for him is twofold. Is he grew up in Greece, so he hasn't been on the basketball court. He didn't play on the AAU circuit, and the biggest impediment of his game is the fact that he can't shoot a jump shot. And to take over a game, when you get to the playoffs, you have to have a jump shot, or at least be able to shoot one. And so Miami just packs it in, and 2 years in a row they've lost in the playoffs because he can't hit a jump shot, and the teams just pack it in and stop him from getting to the rim.
Now you mentioned as the game just got back into the third quarter, the second half just started. Lakers up to 49-47. But you mentioned we talked. Like I said, we talked a bit about LeBron, and LeBron essentially runs the game. He plays the game in a lot of ways like a way that you would play the game as a 6-footer, just under 6-footer. You had to, and when you play the game, you had to play point guard. LeBron chooses to play point guard, and it's interesting. I want to get your thoughts on just that dynamic of a player wanting to do that, and we see that so much in the game now. It's really you really have players who try to play like that on every team, point forwards and the like. You look at a player like Luka Doncic too down in Dallas who does it particularly well, but all that sort of stems from one of the guys who really defined your era, Magic Johnson. And what I would like to get your opinion on what makes the difference between the way that Magic played as a 6'9" guy running the court and the way that LeBron plays as a 6'8" guy, but definitely weighing a lot more than Magic did, to the point where like you say, he could play a 4 easy. But Magic was, he was slimmer, but he was 6'9", and he ran the point, and he did it to the as well as anyone who ever played the point guard position. What was the difference, in your opinion, between those two?
There's one difference. Our generation, push come to shove, when you're being pressured, you put your body between the basketball and the defender. So when Magic knew that he had a disadvantage with quickness, Magic would back you down. He would either go to the post or he would back you down from the 3-point line to get in the paint and force a double. The difference is LeBron in this generation, they're taught to dribble the basketball and try to cross you over in front of you. Well, if a guy has his hand in your cookie jar, he's going to take your cookies. So, and this goes back to my statement a few minutes ago. If LeBron would just be a 4 with the point guard skills, he's unguardable now. If you put him in the paint, you put him around the basket, who's going to guard him? They're going to have to double him. And so there's the big difference is Magic would back you down and use his height. LeBron doesn't use his height to destroy people. Because if he did, again, and people don't realize he played football. So the contact doesn't bother LeBron. He's a wide receiver. And I just wish at times that he's out there trying to cross people over and blow by people. That takes a lot of energy. But imagine if he was 10 feet from the basket. Now he takes a couple of crab dribbles and he's shooting a little jump up. Or he's kicking it out for the double. And that to me, same thing with AD. AD's out there wanting to shoot threes. And AG's 6'10", 6'11", can't be guarded. Why waste time out there shooting threes when you're unguardable in the paint? And that's
Yeah,
that again. That's just the difference in the game today. And we say that the players are better. And I keep telling people I don't know if they're better. I just think there's less coaching, and we sacrifice the game to allow players who can't shoot to shoot threes who shouldn't be shooting them.
yeah. There's a lot of foolishness in that regard where people talk about the way that fans and observers of the game measure the abilities of pro players is ridiculous in a lot of ways. Because
Mm-hmm.
I could I could put your stats out there and say, Mark Wade played 12 games in the NBA, and played over 2 seasons with like I said before, Golden State and Dallas. I think if I put your stats out there on Twitter, there'd be a lot of fools out there who never played above varsity or junior varsity in high school who would say, I could give him buckets. He just
Yep.
played 12 games in the league. I could D him up. Yeah, he ain't nothing. There people who say that about players who are all stars. They say that they sorry and this and that. And it's like, dude, the sorriest player on any NBA roster will give you 50 at a moment's notice. And I'm sure you at your age you could still cross over most of the fools who talk on Twitter. Like people, we go like I said, we don't get into your stuff for real now.
Yeah.
Mark Wade holds the NCAA record for most assists in a single season for the UNLV Rebels in 1986-87. This man you're looking at holds that record. And most of y'all ain't never get trophies for playing in a church league back at your high school, man. This is a real ball player right here, man, that we're talking to. So don't get it twisted, man. And there's so many people who, I'm a student of the game. I respect all eras, all players of all eras, because there's no more than like 300 players who play in the NBA at any given time. So to get in that league is an accomplishment of its own. No matter how long you played in the league, it is a great accomplishment, and it's more than I could have ever done with my game. But I recognize it. Not enough people recognize that, and they say stupid things like when we talk about the GOAT argument, like with Michael Jordan. They say like he played against plumbers and accountants and stuff like that. He played against people who will kill you today if they put on this short to go to a rec league, man. And they try to. I think a lot of these kids, they're so desperate to hold up LeBron and to hold up their guys as as the best to ever play. They want to be able to say that they're watching the best athletes ever, and they disrespect the old school guys in the name of doing so. And it's like it's not like that, man. I came up respecting the old school guys. I came up using what they did to contextualize what I saw, and I hold on to Michael. I admit I hold on to Michael. I grew up in Chicago during the three-peats, so I'm always gonna say Michael's the greatest. But that don't mean that I disrespect LeBron. That also don't mean I don't disrespect Kareem and Magic and Wilt Chamberlain and all them too. So that's the thing that just kills me about these kids today, and about the discourse that so-called NBA fans, so-called basketball lovers have with each other. It's like it's a lot of disrespect, and I don't get that.
The one thing I learned about basketball as a person who played and then you step away is you don't know what that coach is allowing the player to do or not do. Like you will never hear me talk about a player negatively in terms of their ability to be in the league. Like I know a lot of people in LA get mad at KCP and they're like, well, he can't do. You don't have any idea what kind of pressure it is to play with LeBron James. You don't have any idea of what the coach is telling him to do and not to do. And those things come into play. Like I've seen guys that I played that I thought were great, when they play for certain coaches, they can't make a bucket. And it's because that coach hasn't tapped into what motivates or drives or prevents that kid from reaching his potential. And so it's when you make the NBA, you're one of the best players in the league, hands down, regardless of whether you're the 12th man or you're one of the NBA All Stars. It is a privilege, and it takes a lot of hard work to get to that level.
Yeah, definitely. And you mentioned playing against Isaiah. Did you play against who were the other big name players who you played
Uh,
against? Either on at all the levels, NBA, college, high school,
well,
even because you played in LA. I'm sure you played against some great players in LA,
I
high
give you
school level as well.
my second day with the Warriors. I hadn't practiced yet. We're playing the Utah Jazz, and the coach puts me in the game in the first quarter. And my first play is John Stockton bringing the ball down the left side of the court. Thurl Bailey was running the right lane, and Karl Malone was trailing down the middle. Now, me being a point guard, I knew exactly where he was going to go with the ball. And right when he got below the 3-point line, he flipped the ball to Karl Malone. I thought I was going to take a charge till I saw Karl Malone's knees. And for to have to play against somebody you idolize, and then all those dreams you had comes to fruition in one night, it is the scariest feeling in the world. But I'll tell you, there's a guy I played against. People will have no clue who he is. Maybe the best player I've ever played against. He's the workout coach for Los Angeles Clippers. He's a white guy from Las Vegas named John Welch. We played together at UNLV for 1 year, my junior year. And when I tell you that guy blistered me for a week straight at a gym, and I didn't know who he was. And then at the end of the week, he told me he was going to play at UNLV. My heart sank because this kid was flat out, could handle the ball. He could shoot. He was tough. He was childhood friends with Greg Anthony. And
Okay.
once we started school, though, I found out that this thing isn't fair because he was a better one-on-one player. But the way Coach Tarkanian wanted us to play, my style fit the 5-on-5 much better. And me and John became really good friends because we realized after the first couple of weeks that he wasn't going to get an opportunity to play. He was a senior. I was a junior. He was transferring from Nevada, Reno. But one of the best players I've ever played against in my life. Nobody knows him. And he's the workout guy for the Clippers. And if you ever watch the Clippers over the last 10 years, he's a white guy sitting behind Doc Rivers wearing these glasses, looks very nondescript. One of the toughest cats I've ever played against in my life.
Oh, okay. I have to look at some footage for that because because I guess he won't be sitting behind Doc anymore unless he moved to
No,
Philly.
you know what? He might end up in Philly with Doc. They've been together. He's been with Doc for almost 10 years, I think. He's been with Doc almost 10 years. But like I said, he's one of the best players I've ever played against. I mean, you name it. I've been on the court with some of the best, and some of the best players were my teammates that I played with at UNLV, who didn't get recognized, like a guy like Gary Graham from Baltimore Dunbar High School, which he played on probably the greatest high school team ever. Um, and he was a backup point guard, two guard, and I used to have to fight with him every day. We're still best friends to this day. Um, and that's probably the thing that made us really good at UNLV was we had to play against guys who would start on any other college team, and we had to fight with these guys
Yeah.
every day in practice.
Yeah, and
So
we got to talk about UNLV because Dave, man, Dave actually brought up UNLV in a funny way a few shows back. It's actually a rap group that took that name UNLV. I don't want to say what it meant, but
whoa,
the cultural, it gets into the cultural impact that the UNLV team had. Now,
mm-hmm.
you didn't play for the team that won the national championship and played in two straight. That was just after you, though.
Yeah, that was 3 years after me. And Stacey Altman and I became really good friends. He was a red shirt my senior year. And so him and I became really good friends. I actually just talked to him yesterday. But I wasn't part of that championship run. We lost in the Final Four my senior year. So we kind of started them on the way.
Right. And that's what I was going to get into. Like, there's a great documentary on HBO about the UNLV legacy really leading up to those championship years. And people don't know about how great UNLV was throughout the whole entire 80s, going back into the late 70s even. And you were a part of that, being a record holder in your last year there and playing with guys like Armin Gilliam who went to the NBA. and I think you guys won what 32 games that year,
Oh, don't
and
don't
like went to
shortchange
the.
us. Don't shortchange
But
us.
let me go
Thir-
to the stats. Let me go to the stats.
30. We went 30. We
But
went
yeah,
37
yeah,
and 2.
37 and 2. Oh, excuse me, sir.
Uh
Excuse me,
huh.
sir.
No,
But
you're
you're a
okay.
Final Four team. You're a Final Four team, like you said, and
Yeah.
so that's an amazing accomplishment as well. Even without even not factoring the NBA stuff, that's an amazing accomplishment. And you know, like I said, I recommend anybody who's into the history of sports, the history of college basketball, definitely to watch that UNLV documentary. And yeah, just, what was it like being in the mix of that whole era? Because you had Jerry Tarkanian, who was just a icon, and chewing on the towels all the time, and and all that stuff that was going on in Vegas at the time. Like you guys were really the pro sport in Vegas. Now they got a couple of pro teams in Vegas, but you guys back then were really these. You were everything in Vegas back then.
Now that I've had a chance to sit back as an old man and analyze it, a couple things I found out is our basketball program was used as a marketing tool for the casinos, especially
Yeah.
with the California area. So they used us to market the city during our games with the commercials. Um, if you weren't at our games back in the 70s and 80s and early 90s, it was the happening thing in Las Vegas. And to sit courtside, see Mike Tyson. I've met Bill Cosby on campus jogging, Wayne Newton. Um, the funniest story I have is I'm at a Long John Silver restaurant, about to order some food. Black gentleman walks up to me and asked me, was I Mark Wade? I said, yes. It was Gregory Hines, the actor. It was his father. And
Oh wow.
Gregory was in town doing a benefit for the black football coach Wayne Nunley. Was They were having a benefit, and Wayne and he was in town to do the benefit, and the dad bumped into me in Long John Silver's and introduces himself to me. I'm floored, like, wait a minute, you're Gregory Hines' dad. So that's the crazy notoriety that we had within the town. But when you're in the midst of it, you don't realize it because you're young and stupid. You think you're greater than what you are, but you really don't realize how big you are in the community till you get a few years removed, and you realize how special that those times were.
Definitely, definitely. Do you think that you guys should have gotten parts of the proceeds of what came in, the millions that you made for the university at that time?
That's a catch 22. Here's what I believe the NCAA should do, and it would change the game for everything. I don't understand how they could try to monitor and stop you from making money off your likeness. That's the one problem. The other thing is the NCAA worries about petty things that shouldn't be a part of their jurisdiction. Like if Coach Tarkanian wanted to buy me a meal outside of our team, that's illegal, and I don't believe that should be illegal. One of our players had father passed away, didn't have money to get home, so somebody paid for him to get home, and it became an NCAA violation. Kid didn't have
Hmm.
money. His dad died. So you generate all this revenue for the university, and the NCAA tries to stop you from benefiting off any of it. If they would just get rid of some antiquated rules and allow the schools to do simple things. I'm not talking about buy somebody a car or a house, but for somebody to need some clothes, somebody want to go on a date, coach drops a few dollars, that should be washed. Now, I just don't believe because of equity that you're going to be able to pay the college athletes. But I think if a kid, and Greg Anthony tried to do it with starting his own t-shirt business, and the NCAA after a couple of weeks told him he had to get back on scholarship because they realized the precedent it was going to set if you could now be part of the university basketball program and not be on scholarship and they not be able to regulate you. So they forced Greg to get back on scholarship.
Yeah, yeah. There's a lot of stories like that, and I think we've only just begun to reach some sort of progress with that. But it's taken individual states to have to enact, laws that allow kids to market themselves now at that level. It's still not something that the NCAA as an organization is allowing, which it shows how backwards in thinking they still are.
Well, because if you get deeper into it, you're going to have to go check the books, and we'll all get to see how much money they're generating. The other problem with if you pay them, well, then you're no longer amateur. So now you're going to be
Yeah,
taxed. See, it is bigger than what people understand. But all the state legislation stuff is fine, but people don't realize there's still nothing enacted for players to actually get paid right now. I know they're trying to come up with some stuff where uh the players are allowed to do some things, but it's still not enacted, so it's actually a rule, and you can actually make money off of it. The NCAA is still not going to let this go because it's going to open a can of worms that they know now that any power that they have will be gone.
Right. Yeah, I agree. I agree exactly. You know, that's why I like to speak up on it as much as I can. I'm glad you feel that way as well, Mark, because
Yep.
you know, I know you coached as well on the collegiate level. You know,
Yep.
was there any particular times that, you know, there was some issues with you with a couple of schools, but you know, I don't know. I'll let you get into that if you like, but you know, from what I read, it seems like you may have been caught in some positions where you were in between the institution and trying to support your players.
Well, let me say, I hate talking about it because it sounds like I make an excuse. Uh, I made a choice to take something that didn't belong to me out of anger. Didn't do it for any personal reason, but I paid a price for it, which was my career. Um, it Everything we're dealing with now in America in terms of race and systematic issues are the same things that I started getting frustrated about when I started coaching in 2001 all the way to 2006 till I did what I did at UC Riverside. And when you understand the fact of the nepotism, the racism, and the fact that being an articulate, educated black man, uh, people would look at you as the angry N word, because I had no problem stepping up and speaking out for things that I thought were wrong. And I let my frustration get to me, where I end up losing my career. But I tell people that what came out of me losing my career and having to deal with the justice system was, for the first time in 40 something years, I had to look in the mirror to figure out who I was. Because the fallacy of sports is you believe that the sport you play is who you are as a human being, and you're not. That's just what you do. And I started getting in that gray area, believing that that's what made me special, and it didn't make me special. But at 40, at 40, 41, 42, I have to look in the mirror and finally realize who I was the best thing that ever happened to me. Now, I don't condone what I did, and I don't want to make excuses for it, but the choice I made freed my soul from being an athlete. Um, and I can't even imagine what some of the athletes are going through who have to transition from being applauded, put on a pedestal, told they're right behind God, and all of a sudden one day they tell you, you go be normal. What's normal?
Yeah.
Like LeBron will not have to deal with it, but there are players at a little lower level than LeBron that were making millions, and then at 35, 40. Uh, a great example is Chicago, and I appreciate Antoine Walker. Antoine Walker
Yeah.
had to go be normal. Like what's normal? Rex Chapman. See, and then the system allows you to be dealt with differently. And I've watched Rex Chapman since he was in high school. Great player. Went through some things, and because it was drugs, it kind of gets washed over. Oh, he had a drug problem. That transition from athlete to an everyday citizen is the hardest thing I've ever had to go through. And I had a foundation. I had a great family, but I realized that the things that made me a great basketball player made me a bad human being, which was I learned to internalize everything as a kid from having older siblings. And I took that same passion and I went on the court and played with this fire that I can't describe to people. But when you're a grown man and you got things going on in your brain, you got to be able to articulate that. Well, as a player, I didn't articulate, I just figured it out. And as a grown man, now you have to articulate it and you need to tell somebody, hey, something's going on. I need to talk to somebody. And they
Yeah.
never really give you that. That mechanism is never given to you when you're in the middle of sports. Never.
Yeah.
So that's it in a
That's
nutshell.
well said. Yeah, that's well said. The idea of self-examination is, again, that's something that it still gets ridiculed in sports today. When you look at a couple
Mm-hmm.
weeks ago with Skip Bayless ridiculing Dax,
Paul George.
uh, yeah, Paul George, but actually he was that story a couple weeks ago. Him talking about the Dak Prescott on
Oh,
the Cowboys, who was talking about being depressed in the past
Yes.
year, losing his brother and being, having to go through these emotional things. And, Skip Bayless saying, well, you can't feel like that if you're the quarterback of the Dallas Cowboys. And, he was rebuked and he was rebuked, thankfully, because of, people nowadays don't, I think more people than used to want athletes to be able to come to grips with the emotions that they have on and off the court and not just be these robots that are here to entertain us. We can't expect that from people.
There's a
You gonna say
great
something, Dave?
Good.
Yeah, I was gonna say there's a great book called The Alter Ego by Todd Herman, and essentially Todd Herman is a sports coach where he counsels professional athletes and amateur athletes on how to identify, how to capture their peak performance through identifying an alter ego, and he talks about those same things, and he talks about, I guess, Keith Hernandez's transition from going from pro sports to being a sports analyst, and how that was just like a kind of a difficult transition for him. So, I don't know. That's something that's a, big challenge for a lot of people. And,
Oh, yeah,
so,
it definitely
yeah,
is.
It's a good book.
Yeah. What was that book again, Dave?
It's called The Alter Ego by Todd Herman.
Okay. But yeah, like Mark said, there's a transition. Every athlete has to go through this transition. And it doesn't matter if you were just a star in high school, if you were a college star, or if you were one of the all-time greats. You have to go through that transition eventually and find awareness of yourself and value of yourself that goes beyond what you've done probably from a very young age, obsessively to reach a level of success that got you to that point.
Yep. It is incredible when you find out that the athlete that you see on the court, my job that I do now, I get to meet stars and entertainers, and you realize, you start thinking that they're the person you see on television or on stage, and that's not them. That's either just a part of their talent that they have, but most of the people that you see on television, they don't act anything like what we see on television. And most athletes, when people find out deep down, and Dave probably doesn't know this in our interaction, I'm an introvert. And people find it crazy because I'm a leader on the basketball court, but that's my upbringing from my family. I was forced to be out in front. I was trying to emulate my oldest brother. But my who I am as a person, I like being by myself. And I've been around Dave and I've interacted with Dave. Dave probably thinks I'm outgoing, but honestly, I get on my bike and go ride 100 miles by myself. and when people find out, they're like, "Oh, man, that's not you." Yeah, that's who I am. That's who I am really. My best friend knows it, but most people don't because they just see the guy who was the athlete.
Yeah.
That's what.
Let's get into. Oh, go ahead.
Now I was saying, like, back to my youngest. My youngest didn't know me from basketball, so our relationship is purely daddy-daughter. And then for her to see,
he says she's in the mid-20s now.
Yeah, she's 24, and for her to see her dad as a basketball player now, and we go back to what you said, the book, The Alter Ego. The basketball player was my alter ego. That's the thug and the knucklehead that I am inside that only comes out when I'm competing. Because when I compete I compete to the death. Because I have 4 older brothers and 2 older sisters. So I always had to fight for things. So when somebody challenges me mentally, I get turned on. Oh, this is what we're doing? We're going to punch each other in the mouth today? Okay, cool. I'm not going to cry. I'm just going to go punch you back in the mouth. Don't say anything. And that's what we'll go back to the LeBron thing. That's what I miss is the competition. Because through competitiveness, at some point there's going to be a fight. If we're both trying to win the same thing, and there's only one of them, one of us is going to get hurt. And sports, even on the NFL, is taking that out. Like, I don't condone some of the jarring hits across the middle. But if I had to do over, I went to Oklahoma University as a freshman because I love football. Yeah. If I had to go over, I would go back and play football and be a wide receiver. Because you can't hit me going across the middle anime. I would go be a wide receiver.
And that shows how tough a guy you are, because you kind of undersized for wide receiver too, but you still don't mind putting yourself in that position. I can see you a
Yeah,
tough dude.
yeah. I went to University of Oklahoma on a basketball scholarship because Wayman Tisdale was the star player, but I love football.
Yeah.
And I told myself,
Was Stacey
wow,
King there too when you were there?
Stacy's a little younger. Me and Stacy are friends. I got Stacy's number. Stacy's a little younger than me, but we became friends because he was the next Wayman Tisdale. And so I
Mm,
left Oklahoma and I came back to visit a few times, and I've met Stacy because of the fact that he followed in Wayman's footsteps.
yeah. Yeah, of course he does our games, for the Bulls here, so
Uh,
he's definitely still a big deal here in Chicago. So shout out to Stacey King. But yeah,
yeah, we
that's Oklahoma was definitely a big deal then too as a program at that mid to late
mm-hmm.
'80s, and
Yeah,
that's you say
definitely
you
was.
spent your freshman year there, but you ended up
Well, let's say,
transferring to UNLV.
yes, I spent half my freshman year before I quit, but I stayed in school the whole year because I loved the school. And I'm still friends with Billy Tubbs and his son Tommy Tubbs still to this day because as I got older, I realized I probably should have stayed at Oklahoma, but the UNLV thing turned out to be an incredibly good move for me. But I loved
Yeah.
Oklahoma University, loved it.
Okay. Did you think like I say you UNLV wound up being great for you? Did you as far as coaches go, did you prefer Stubbs or uh or Cook or Sharp?
I think if I would have been playing at Oklahoma, might have preferred Tubbs. Um, but the things I went through at UNLV, I will never question. And when I tell you our practices were harder than games, that to me was exciting having to come to practice every day and fight and scrap for your position. And so yeah, I just don't think it's hard. It's hard for me to compare because I did not play at Oklahoma. I sat on the bench so deeply that the basketball part of it they could throw in the trash, but the school part of it I loved it, loved it.
Hmm. Do you think you got a fair shot as a pro, given that you did so well at UNLV, and you were definitely a great an assist guy, a guy who could distribute the ball, who could work, who could run the team on the court. Do you think you got a fair shot? Because I look at
Well,
like I say, looking at the stats and stuff. You got that shot with Golden State, and they weren't a great team at the time. They let you on through the summer that year in '88, but then they let you go, from what I
well,
saw.
so
And
so now you yeah. So what you read in the bio and the stats don't tell the story. I got called up because for a
sure,
reason. Do you remember Bill Musselman, who became the head coach of the Timberwolves when the Timberwolves
okay, yeah,
first
I know
started?
the name Muscle. Yeah,
So Bill Musselman became the first coach of the Minnesota Timberwolves. The year before he got the job at the Timberwolves, he was in the CBA, which is now like the G League. And so
yeah.
Musselman's team was the best team in the league, hands down. They went 48-6, but three of their losses were to my team. And I had the two top scorers in the league on my squad, and one of them was my former college teammate Anthony Jones. And so Musselman got me called up to Golden State instead of Sidney Lowe because he knew he was going to be getting the Timberwolves job. So he had Don Nelson was the general manager. Uh, George Karl had just got fired with Golden State. So I got called up literally because Musselman knew they couldn't beat us, and they wanted to call Sidney Lowe up, but Musselman knew they needed Sidney to win the championship. So literally, we won our first round playoff game. The second round playoff, I got called up, and Musselman's team, my team, and they went on to win the championship. But he knew if I was there that they couldn't beat us. So
Mm,
back to your original question. I don't even think that word fair comes into play when it comes to sports and making it or not making it. My biggest regret was the fact that I got called up and I lost my hunger to do the things I needed to do during the summer. Because one of the things that hurt me was I was labeled a non-shooter. I led the nation in assists. I set a Final Four record for assists. I set an NCAA tournament for a record assist. I hold the assist record in the CBA. I hold the assist record in the World Basketball League. But
mm,
because they labeled me a non-shooter, I came back out of the CBA that first year. I averaged 14 points, 12 assists in the CBA, which is unheard of. Somebody averaging 12 assists a game. So I got called up because of it. And then they said, well, he can't shoot. But yeah, but I was shooting almost 48% from the pro three, but I didn't shoot a mid range at that point. So then they said, oh, he doesn't have a mid range game. And then that next year I got called to the Dallas Mavericks. But I don't even think it's a question about being fair. For me and most of the players who do make it on the fringe, it's about being in the right place at the right time. And
Yeah.
I'm appreciative of the call up, but if I had to do over, I wish I wouldn't have got called up. I would have stayed hungry and stayed grinding. And because I thought I had made it with that call up, I kind of lost my edge with how I worked out during the summers.
That makes sense. Like sometimes you got to earn it more than and it's sometimes when it's given to you in a certain way, it's not the right way, and you might not be able to take advantage of it the way that you want.
I'll give you a player who you can relate to, who I played just like, but I truly believe I was a better shooter. I played like Avery Johnson. Avery was at Southern. He was a year behind me. So I came out that first year. He came out the next year, and he was literally in the right place at the right time. I think I
Yeah.
do. I do most things better than Avery Johnson did on the basketball court, and not envious of Avery because he did what he was supposed to do and had a phenomenal career.
Yeah.
But
And flip
right
that
place,
into a
right
coaching
time.
career. Yeah.
Yep, right place,
Yeah.
right time.
Yeah. That's something that I could definitely see that given your stats as the assist guy, because Avery, like you say, Avery didn't have much of a jumper either, but he was great a floor general. He was a great floor general, and
One of
he
the best
wound
to
up
ever play
being
the
on
game.
some championship teams. Played with some Hall of Famers, David Robinson, and Duncan and them. Like you say, right place, right time, and that means a lot. That means a lot
Yep.
in sports. So
It,
yeah,
yeah. So
but
I'll describe it to you. Let me give you one more real quick. Uh,
sure,
I was told back in the day, and I still believe it now. There are probably 30 superstars, like guys who are flat out head and shoulders better than everybody. The rest of those
sure.
300 or 400 players, you could throw them up in a box, and there's some guys on the street who could outplay them. So it's for a lot of the players in the league, it's right place, right time. People don't realize the average career is like 3.5, 4 years, maybe. The
Yeah,
turnover on the back end of the teams is a lot, but those first 5 positions, 7 positions, those guys do 5 to 10 years. But those guys from 7 on down to 15, that turnover is very high.
yeah, and that's another reason why I was glad when Dave brought you up to come on the show. I was like, I like the idea of talking to a guy like you because, like you say, that the way like we talked about earlier, the way that people view the league is so much through the scope of those 30 players, those superstars, and they
Uh huh.
judge everything. They judge everything through those players through their standards. When it's like they're working man people who make the league. They're people who fight for 5-10 years to get into the league. There's people who like you came in the league, played a few games, and come out, and that it don't mean that they're whack, that they're bad players.
Yep.
It's just what happened. It's just what happened with them. There's all different types of narratives, and being having been a sports reporter myself, I see value in telling the stories of all those players. From
Yes.
stars to the people on the end of the bench, and so I'm just really glad to be able to talk to a guy like you and learn more about the game and learn more about that particular era of the game, which was an interesting era. Just given the characters and stuff. We just coming off of the Last Dance documentary with Jordan and everything, and so much of that was about the '90s and stuff, but a lot of that too was about the '80s
Uh
and
huh.
the time when Michael came of age. And you're pretty much a contemporary of Michael in that way, where you came of age in the '80s too as a ball
Hmm.
player, and the league was a lot different then. Like the way that players got down off the court, the way that players were treated on the court, the way that players treated each other, it was very different.
Oh, definitely. Like I had a chance to watch up close when they filmed Space Jams. Michael had the NBA players come up to Warner Brothers playing pickups. I went up there with
Yeah.
Stacy. I went up there with Stacy a couple times, so I saw
Wow,
some of the
you were
pickups.
there.
Yeah, I sat in I had just finished playing professionally, probably by 2 or 3 years. And so Stacy's like, "Do you want to play?" I was like, "No, I'm just want to watch this." And it's Reggie Miller, Juwan Howard, Kenny Smith, Trajan, the guys from UCLA, Toby Bailey, those guys were all there, and it was just real, pure, unadulterated basketball. And I told somebody it was priceless. And I told the guy, "No, I don't want to play. I just want to watch this. This is classic stuff." And Steve Kerr is one of my contemporaries. We were in high school against each other, and we also played. He was at Arizona, I was at UNLV. We played against each other
Yeah.
twice in college, and we're actually friends. And I'll give you a name that I'm pretty sure you know, Steve Bardo.
Steve, another guy here in Chicago. We love him. Play for that Flying Illini team, and he does a lot of TV out here now. I see him every now and then in Hyde Park, Dave. He hangs out every now and then. Steve's a cool guy.
Yeah, but he's another one. If you ever get a chance to talk to Steve, I think Steve was just as good as Kendall Gill. I played with Steve professionally, and once I played with him, I was like, "Man, they don't know how good you are," because he's a point guard too, but he's 6'5", 6'6", and so we played really well together. We used to laugh about it, like right place, right time. Stephen Bardo could have played 15 years in the NBA.
Yeah. Yeah, I could definitely see that because they had so much talent coming out of Illinois at that time. Like it was crazy. Like you say, Kendall and Nick got the Nick Anderson got the big the big headlines and stuff. But
careers,
that team was and they wound up being the long running NBA guys. But that team was deep, and Steve was definitely a big part of that team.
I played with Marcus Liberty as well. Became really good friends with Mark. Mark lived in Las Vegas for a while.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's again, small world.
Yeah, we gotta get you back on to do some more basketball talk, man. But yeah, because I got some other stuff I could throw at you too, man. But yeah, I want to make sure we get into the relationship with you and Dave.
Yes.
And you talked a bit about bicycling and how it's sort of a thing that you use to be at peace, and being an introvert is something that you can do that you enjoy. But you also connected with Dave through that group as well. And I just wondering, like, how did you first get into the group, and what was your motivations beyond just being a cycling enthusiast for getting in the group?
Well, I started riding long before the group, but literally 4 months ago, one of my good friends who's a police officer spoke to me about the group, and hey, they're riding on a Sunday, yada, yada, yada. So I packed up my bike, rode out to Westchester Park, and at that time it was probably 30 guys, maybe 30 to 40. And I just enjoyed it. I realized in the group, I knew about 4 or 5 guys that I've known over the years. So it turned out to be a really good thing. Subsequently, I've rode every Sunday except for once since probably the middle of July. Yeah, probably July. And it's called Brothers on the Move, and it's not a black thing. There are other races within the group, but it basically is guys who are trying to move forward in the right direction, help the community, and change this systemic racism that's going on in America.
Okay, that's good to hear. Are there different events or initiatives that you guys get involved with that to that end?
We actually did our first fundraiser. We did a food part of a food giveaway at Cerritos College in Cerritos two Wednesdays ago. It probably was about 10 of us that went over and were part of the big food giveaway that they do. The group is the guys who coordinated. They're just still trying to find their niche as to where we're going to go and the things that we're doing in the community to try to help.
Okay. I gotta say, just as a friend of Dave's, I'm glad that he was able to find people, like-minded people, soon after moving out there that he's able to bond with, and not feel, helping this transition out there. It's just really cool to hear that he's got a guy like he told me about the time when you pretty much saved him out there.
No, man, the thing I've learned about the biking community, and Dave's seen it from his situation, all the things I've ever done in my life, including basketball, the biking community is the coolest thing I've been connected to because it doesn't matter about nothing but the bike you're on. And if you have a flat tire
Mm.
or if you fall or something happens, a random stranger will stop and help you. And
Yeah,
to me, that is the coolest thing. I've had a couple flat tires, and guys who I know were in the middle of a serious ride pulled over to help me get the flat fixed. And to me, that's priceless. So it's been a thing to help keep my mind at peace, but it's also been a good fellowship with the Sunday riding crew, and even meeting Dave a couple weeks ago and it turning into something like today. The fact I'm on the radio with you guys, because you never know who you're riding next to.
yeah, that's great, and that's what we like to. That's something that we gonna look to do with this show is, maintain and build our connections that we make. Us and our other co-hosts. So we're glad to have you on to help really further in our mission.
Hey, Dave, can I
Yeah,
speak about
yeah.
the not the incident, but
Thank you.
the end of it?
Oh,
So,
yeah, no. What I was, yeah.
well,
Well,
or Dave, you speak about it, and I got something I want to say on the back end of it.
Yeah, go ahead,
well,
Dave.
no. I mean, the context. Well, the context I wanted to provide even before the incident was that a part of the challenge of being a part of the group is that one, I have probably the largest bike out of everybody. So I have a mountain bike, but more than anything, I have what's called a mongoose, and a mongoose has like 6-inch tires on it, and it weighs about 40 pounds. So it's almost 1.5 times to 2 times as heavy as the guys who ride in the group, because they tend to ride road bikes and they tend to ride I guess highly improved bikes as well, or just higher quality bikes than mine. So in addition to the just kind of with the terrain, which is what led to my fall, it was more of the thing that I was always getting dusted. And the week before the incident, I had met Mark, and Mark rode with me. I forgot where we started at, but we ended up in Palos Verdes, and it was essentially just kind of a tough, hike because the incline was so high, and he made sure that I was able to make it through the ride. So that's kind of where our relationship and connection first started. But yeah, to Mark's point, that community I think really came in place when connecting with him. My rides before, I was a part of some rides before, and I'd always be the guy, keeping up the rear because I was always getting dusted because I had the heaviest bike. But
Yeah, Mark. They tell me y'all be going like
yeah,
50 miles and stuff. Like, is that
Well,
something you
no,
always
well,
were able to do?
no. So the biking is something you can't go 0 to 100 with. You start off at 0 and you go to 1, 2, 3. You build up to the fact that, like, literally 3 weeks ago, I did a 100-mile ride. Um,
Wow.
but no, our Sunday rides are anywhere from 25, and we've done as much as 55. And there's so many
yeah,
different ranges of riders within the group. And the situation with Dave, like I said, I saw we were going up this hill, and I wanted to see him make it. So I started talking to him, and then I realized what he's riding, there's some things he needs to do with the seat. And we just started talking. We exchanged numbers. And then subsequently it led to him and I conversing 2 weeks ago, a week and a half ago, and a situation happened. And here's the biking community in a nutshell. Dave had a situation. I ended up pulling up on the situation. And so we pulled off to the side. He fell, pulled off to the side. I called my little brother. Hey, Luke, can you come get a situation happen? My little brother jumped up, got in his truck, came and picked both of us up, take us back to the meeting point. And Dave, being a good dude that he is, wanted to take care of my brother with gas. And me and my little brother both said the same thing. Nah, man, we're good. That's not what this is about, right? Because that literally, my brother lived maybe 15 minutes from where the situation happened. And I just told Dave, that's not what, my little brother's good. That's he doesn't want anything for this. He did this because he's a good
well,
dude and we're a good community.
Hmm. That's what's
yeah,
up.
and it was even more It was even more significant being the fact that we were at a golf course. So we were at like a park or a golf course. That's where the end of the ride was, and the fall happened on the way back. And ultimately, it would have been logistically a little bit challenging to get back because my bike doesn't even fit in my car. So I have my mother-in-law's pickup truck, which is the only thing that I really can transport it in. So it's not like I could have got a ride, from somebody else. So that was the reason even why Mark and his brother even came more through in the clutch. So, yeah.
Yeah, it's like I said, it's great that y'all were there to help Dave at that time of need, and like I said, just really great that you guys are bonding quickly, and that that you have a platform like that. But just I guess one more thing before we start to wrap up, like, do you find any connections, Mark, or parallels in being a part of this community and being a cyclist in the way that you are with your prior career as a basketball player and stuff?
Oh, most definitely. So there's some young guys in this group, and I think me, probably at 55, I'll be 55 in 2 weeks. Probably one of the older guys in the group. And literally, my first ride, at the end of the ride, me and three young guys were going at each other, not trying to be competitive with each other, but pushing each other. When I got done, I told the young guys, "You guys brought out something I hadn't felt in 25 years with that adrenaline rush." And then I find out one of the guys in the group, little young guy, his dad's one of my dear friends. I had never seen him before, but he went home telling his dad about this old guy. I called my best friend telling him about this young guy that I met. Come to find out, the young kid, his name is Buck Anderson. His dad, Craig, is one of my good friends I've known for 35 years.
Oh, wow.
But I had never met his son. So
so the friend was the son. The friend that you called was the father of the son.
Yep.
Father of that guy. Okay.
Yep. And
that's it. That's fun.
So they brought out that because I still have a competitive nature, even though I like riding alone. Being able to push with those guys at the end of the rides, like every Wednesday, I drive down to Irvine Wednesday nights to go ride with a bunch of younger dudes, and we do a 19-mile ride, and we go at this ride really hard, but in a competitive way, but not trying to kill each other, but just push each other to go faster each time we ride. And it's been a blast because it's satisfying my competitive nature that I have inside me.
Okay. Well, our audience can see you on Facebook. So if y'all get out in the LA area and you riding a bike somewhere and you see that brother on the side, just looking focused, going by, you want to pull up on them if you want, but you may not be ready for that. Maybe maybe barking up the wrong tree there. So
I think the better plug would. I think the better plug would be join us, Brothers on the Move. I mean, at one point we were 40 joking, strong. Yeah, but
you want to give some, feel free to give some joining information if the about the group.
Yeah.
Well, go ahead. Yeah. Go ahead, Dave.
No, I was gonna say, if anything, feel free to join us. It's Brothers on the Move, BROTHAS on the Move. You can find us on Facebook, and if you're on the Strava app, we're on Strava as well, and then IG is of course as well. So I think that's really if you're interested in cycling, it's a great it's a great community, and if you're up for the long distance rides, now the weather is getting a little bit cooler. It's actually better, which is really weird because the membership has dropped off. It was more when it was hotter. But yeah, we definitely could use the people. Are
there chapters in other cities?
That I'm not sure.
So yeah, not necessarily other chapters, but there are guys, because basically that app, when you get on Strava, Brothers on the Move is on Strava. So there are guys in other cities that are part of the group that do their own riding. We kind of just you kind of monitor each guy's rides. There's matter of fact, there's somebody in Chicago that rides, and there's a guy in Miami that rides who are either lived in LA or friends with the people who are in our LA group.
Sure, that makes sense. I mean, like you say, it's a small world, and there's ways for everyone to network. So it makes sense that there's ways for people who are into cycling to link up, and maybe when people get into the LA area to visit or to move, they can join up with you guys specifically.
Oh, tell them I'm easy to find on Facebook or Instagram. Running Rebs 87 on Instagram. I'm down for anybody who really wants to ride.
Running Rams 87. There you go. It never leaves you, huh? It never leaves you.
It's on the license plate too, man. It ain't going nowhere.
I don't blame you. I would show off too if I was doing what you was doing at 87, man. I would show off too.
Here's a funny one before we go. Uh, I got a beautiful license plate frame from a girl I dated right after high school, and I did not know she knew my nickname, but she put Hall of Fame UNLV. Uh, on the bottom of it says the Gourmet Waiter, and that's what the announcer at UNLV used to call me. And she put it on a license plate for me to frame my license plate.
The gourmet way.
The Gourmet Waiter. And so the
A
young
waiter.
generation
Okay.
doesn't know what a gourmet waiter does. But the old heads know that a gourmet waiter brings out your food on plate so you can see it. And that's the analogy to giving a good assist is you're the gourmet waiter just feeding the people.
Oh man, that's wild day. We used to
Yeah,
do a show called Gourmet Season on our network. So that's wild too. Yeah, that's wild.
Yeah,
But
before
man,
we go, I
go
was
ahead,
gonna say
Dave.
before we go, we have a couple other Chicagoans, somewhat famous Chicagoans, that are part of the group. I don't know if you know the
Oh,
dad from the Shy. He's
yep.
Orlando Boyce Senior is a part of the group as well.
Oh, the father on the shot. Okay.
Yeah,
Yep. He's rolled with us a couple times.
Oh,
yeah.
okay. Has there been any other famous or semi-famous people who roll with y'all?
Oh my, I want to say somebody. Oh yeah, Red Grant rode with us, the comedian.
Okay.
Yeah, Red Grant rode with us about 2 months ago. He rode with us, but he's back
Red
on the
Grant.
road doing his
Okay.
shows right now.
Okay.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
cool. That's cool.
So
We got
the
yeah.
the guys who coordinate the show, their father and them also, they're into boxing. They're right under Al Heyman, Sam Watson
Oh.
and his two sons Brandon and Marcus. They're in the boxing
Yeah.
business heavy, and anytime you've seen a championship fight, you've seen all three of them in the ring. The boys look like they're twins, but they're not. They're part of the coordinating. There's a guy named Vic Butler, who's a baseball coach at Cerritos College, who coordinate this whole thing.
Okay. Well, that's great. That's great.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love to keep up with y'all, man, and definitely, Markley, we love to have you back on to talk more about what you got going on, and like I say, talk some more about your playing days as well, man.
Without a doubt, I appreciate it. It was fun being on here.
Yeah, definitely great. Like I said, great having you on. We appreciate it. The game's still going on. It's getting a little. It's in the fourth. Lakers got a little lead, but we'll see how that finishes up. But
I'll tell you what, they better not lose it though, because now you go 2-2. It's gonna be fun at
oh
that
yeah,
point.
oh yeah. I'm look. I'm not rooting against the Lakers. In some years I've rooted more against the Lakers, but
Uh-huh.
I think with this year, there's a lot of that win it for Kobe stuff. And I think some people go a little bit over the line with that. But
Overboard.
I still, yeah, I wouldn't, I'm not like I say I feel for the Lakers in that way, but it's not something where you want to exploit the memory of Kobe. I would say, but like I said, I'm not against the Lakers like I would be in some other years. I would say.
I'll give you a phone before you hang up. Before we leave this call. I drove your boy Scottie Pippen a couple right before the COVID hit. I drove Scottie Pippen
Oh,
and was with Scottie Pippen for about an hour or two.
how did that go?
So it was pretty interesting, because he's a little younger than me, and you just tell he's a pretty humble little country boy, man. He's a humble little country boy
Yeah,
who made it.
yeah,
So
yeah. We can see that. You can see that.
yeah, yeah.
That's how.
But I
How
appreciate you guys.
often do you? Well, I say right quick. How often do you drive people, and they may like you may be able to like do you ever try to work that into a conversation with someone that you drive like that I used to
Um,
be in the league too or something like that?
no, because it's a really awkward position. But the funny part
Yeah.
is, at some point, if they're into conversing, conversation comes up, and because of my travels, you find out there's a connection. It may not be basketball. I don't even really bring that up, but I become friends with a couple people that subsequently found out that I played, and they went ballistic. Like, if you ever watched the Ninja Turtles, the guy who plays Donnie or Donatello, we've become really good friends. His name is Jeremy Howard, and literally we were riding, and Larry Johnson called while he was in the car, and I asked him could I answer it. When he found out who it was, he almost lost his mind. And he got he got on the speaker and he was like, "Is this Grandmama?" And Larry said, "Yeah." And the guy was like, "Man, I used to have your poster on my wall back in the day." So
Wow.
I don't ever bring it up, but through conversation, you find out if somebody is all about talking or want to have any kind of conversation. And there's people you drive that don't even want to have that interaction, and that's fine because it's their prerogative. But I've made some really cool friendships because of what I do for a living.
Well, that's great to hear, and I'm glad that you're doing well, and definitely, like I said, great to meet you and be able to speak with you. And Dave, keep looking out for my man Dave on them biking trips,
Oh,
and
without a doubt,
hopefully,
without a doubt.
and yeah, just hope y'all keep doing well out there.
Yep, I appreciate it, man. Dave, I'll see you
Yeah,
Sunday.
See you Sunday. Thank you, Mark.
Yep, you're welcome.
Yep, yep,
Have a
yep.
good night,
yeah.
Kyle. You guys have a good one.
You too. Take
You
care.
too,
All
Mark.
right, later.
Bye.
Yeah, we'll let Mark go, and we'll just sign off here.
Yeah, let me log off. Later.
All right. Yeah, great get, Dave, man. Great get.
Yeah. It was just it was a bit, fortuitous. Yeah, and it was a nice switch up. I mean, it would have been nice to have Rook on, but like I said, it's definitely nice to have someone else, especially in the sports realm. And I think to his point early, to what your point was earlier about just having someone with just an unconventional story, or not even, or just more, or to be honest, more of a normal story of transitioning out of pro ball
Right.
into just kind of regular
One that
life.
can be, yeah, one that can be overlooked so often in sports. It's like I said, it's not the glamorous story that you always get put in front of you, but it's one that has value, and just like any other.
It's not at one extreme. I mean, it's not at this person used to play pro ball at the highest level, but now he's homeless or selling, strong on drugs. But at the same time, he's still he's
Right.
not in Magic Johnson realm. Definitely has someone who's been able to make a successful transition out the game and find a second life. It's definitely key, and I think it's a lot of value there. So yeah,
and still willing to connect with new people and people who aren't necessarily his age and who have his background, but you share something with him that he saw, and that allowed him to like I say, make that connection with you to gain a friendship.
Yeah, it's been. Yeah, I mean that's been, I don't know, I'll say the transition here has been easy. It's been an easier transition just in general than I don't know. It's than home in some instances. I'll say that.
I'm sure it's in part because of people like Mark. So that's what's great about that.
Well, yeah, I mean, just just not even just like with the biking thing, but just kind of transitioning with real estate and out here and everything.
How's your second week gone in the office?
Well, it's technically today was like day 5. It was like day 1 or 2 on the phone.
Oh yeah, because you just started the last week. You just started, so
right. But but like I said, at the office I've been in, everybody's been super helpful and supportive, and that's great. I mean, everybody's younger. That's just the adjustment because they like to play music loud. They like to have things loud, and I'm kind of like the old guy trying to find a quiet place so I can make calls. But for whatever reason, the noise doesn't really bother them, and distract them from making calls. But for me, it's a little distracting. So yeah, but yeah, it's been a pretty easy transition. It's one of those things you just wonder, like, why didn't I do this why didn't I do this before in some instances? But yeah,
Man.
it's been thankfully it's been a pretty easy transition.
Yeah.
So
But as much as much as I
very,
love to still have you here, I'm just glad that you're doing well, and you and the fam are doing well out there, and
I miss, I mean, there's a lot of things I miss about home, but like I said, I couldn't engage in it without risking getting COVID. I'm still
right.
I get a text message chain from the Cocaine Cowboys and stuff they do. I'm like, I'm surprised you guys. I hope you guys don't get COVID. But I mean, you can't. You have to be you have to be cautious in the way how you interact. Going out and stuff like that. And I think for some people, especially, they've kind of maybe forgot about that. So, yeah, it's probably for the best. It's probably for the best that I'm here because there's no nightlife where I live, and like I said, the only connection I had to nightlife was, Dave Pelham, and he's not doing anything. So, at least, public shows. So.
Right.
So
He's doing a show. He's doing a
I,
show back here in a couple of weeks.
yeah. Well, he hasn't done anything in LA, so unless he does something outside, I can't go anyway. So it's
right.
It's a moot point, but it allows me being here allows me to focus on what's important. Like being at home, you just pull in too many directions sometimes. Being here, it's a little bit easier to focus on what's important. So I'm definitely grateful for that.
Yeah, man. You got to keep progressing, man. Got to get something out of this crazy year, man.
Oh, yeah. I mean, the last couple months of the year is looking better than probably the past nine or so previous months. So, it's I'm looking forward to next year even being better. So
that's definitely what we're looking forward to. It'll start out pretty well. Like I said, I'm gonna make my LA trip around my birthday, so we gonna make something happen.
Yeah. Please do. I mean, we can. There's plenty of outside, options and things like that. So it's.
I ain't about to be biking 50 miles though.
Oh man, so I haven't made it anywhere. I haven't made it 50 miles yet. Like I said, the longest I made it was probably this past weekend. I made it from Loyola Marymount, which is Westchester Park is where he mentioned, to like Santa Monica. So and that was probably like
how long was that? 27.
Yeah,
that's another. Yeah, I say that's another. Basketball connection there. You ever heard of Hank Gathers?
Yeah, I've heard of him.
Yeah. Hank, tragic story. He had a heart arrhythmia thing and died on the court.
Right.
He was a great player for Loyola Marymount, and they made a TV movie about his life back when they used to do things like that. But
right.
Yeah.
I didn't know that's where he played.
Yep.
But now the reason I always remember the line is the add two reference. So that's
he mentioned them. He mentioned them in a rhyme. What song was that?
Yeah, Heart Stop Light. Yeah, the first track on Between Heaven and Hell, the rebirth or the birth or whatever it's there.
Oh, okay. I listened to The Glorious this week. I love that track.
Yeah,
I just listened back to some stuff on Spotify. Shout out to Ad too, man. Maybe we get him on sometime soon. I'm gonna do some more reaching out to some of our connections and see about stuff like that.
Yeah, no, he'd be great to have on. He like I said, he reminds me of a Lupe without, a little less
without
ethereal version of Lupe.
Yeah, a little bit down
Well,
more down to earth. Yeah, definitely.
A little bit more grounded version of Lupe.
Yeah.
So yeah,
you hear he's doing
and then
I said you hear Lupe's doing a show with Royce the 5'9" now.
No.
Yeah, they're doing a podcast apparently. They say anything to get a rapper in front of a mic to do a podcast.
Doing a podcast for Royce? Who's doing?
Lupe and Royce are doing a podcast together.
That's a weird one. I thought it'd be more like a Royce and Joe Budden should be a damn podcast. How the hell is Lupe and Royce doing a podcast? Like that doesn't even.
I don't know, man.
It's gonna be called an odd rap couple.
Nah, they keeping it pretty straightforward. I think it's somewhere along the lines of Lupe and Royce or something like that. But yeah,
that's an interesting. I don't even know who you would pair a Lupe with, and it would work out. Where they just or someone that would have a good synergy with Lupe as a rapper. I mean, I think there's people, in other fields that would be good, have good synergy with.
Yeah,
I
think you put quite a few people on a track with them to rap, but I think in just talking and relating to them, that may be even more difficult.
Yeah, that's the point that I was trying to make. It's one thing rapping with somebody; it's a whole nother thing. I don't know, maybe like why am I drawing a blank? Q-Tip. Maybe a Q-Tip or somebody like that. It had to be somebody in another stratosphere to do a show with him and just have a good synergy. I couldn't imagine I can't even just picture what Royce and Lupe are gonna have to talk about. I mean,
but sometimes
the rapper being whack. I mean, I don't know what else.
Sometimes a coupling like that works, an odd coupling like that, so it may bring, because I think that's part of what I like with our show with, when rookies here, it's like we all work well together, but we all bring different things to the forefront, to the table, as it were,
Right.
So,
right.
That type of thing. You sometimes need that sort of natural friction on a show, because that's where you bring about certain conversations and certain energy that allows a show to, be worth checking out.
They can call this show Vodka and Milk, and it works. And it works.
White Russian.
They call it White Russian because it works on two different levels. In one, Lupe don't drink alcohol, and I'm sure Royce does. So you call it Vodka and Milk.
Well, I think Royce used to. I think that's something he's putting past him. If I get some of his songs, his recent songs, right, I think that's something he's sort of getting past.
Oh, that's big. Well, I mean, I think the analogy still works because from personalities, they seem pretty different.
We'll see how it goes, man. Like I say, that rapper talk stuff is pretty lucrative now. So a lot of people are getting into
I just don't know what. I just see them just talking, just really, kind of coming off the risk of, sounding like the old men of the game, just talking about everybody else being, mediocre. And I just, hopefully it's a more nuanced conversation.
Yeah, hopefully. But that's what a lot of people want. They speaking to us now. They speaking to us who don't necessarily get all of what the young folks are doing.
Yeah. Oh, speaking of which, when I was riding last week, I saw what's his name. 6ix9ine has an album called Snitching. The album is called, I forgot. He has a new album out coming talking about he snitched. Was that a joke?
Yeah. He's pretty much fallen head first into that. He's leaning completely into that since he got out. And I forgot what the name of that album was, but he went number one. It came out like a month or two ago.
Oh, well, that goes to show you where I've been. I was just really shocked And one, let's see, I mean, it just really just shows what a weird place we are in the world when 6ix9ine can make an album about what makes you a pariah.
Oh yeah, used to,
like,
but now they don't care no more.
Like, yeah, it's just like I don't know how you can make. Yeah, I mean, like, yeah, that's really weird. I mean, I mean, I mean, I don't know. It's one thing holding your tongue and doing a lot of time for something that you didn't do. It's a whole nother conversation about doing dirt and telling on people so you can get less reduced jail time.
Yeah. Especially when you ain't had no business doing that dirt to begin with, because you wasn't really that type of dude.
Yeah, it's just I don't know. It's a I hope I don't have to be that, be that daddy who has to be the, listen to whatever the pop song of the day is. Fortunately for me, my wife listens to all is able to keep up on the trends. So
man, you let Nura handle that, but you got to watch it though, because you don't want Nura to lead them into, lead them too far down that primrose path.
The cool mom.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think Nura's going to be a cool mom, but we'll see what happens.
All right, man. I think we're gonna wrap up though, man. Like I said, great show, like great getting Mark on. And we'll be back next week, man, next Wednesday. And do some more stuff. Hopefully Rookie will join us. We'll see. And we'll keep it going. Jerobi. Yeah, that's we gonna call him Jerobi now, because sometimes he here, sometimes he not. Because we just gotta keep his aura around us, like, he's Jerobi. That's good name. He's Jerobi. He's Jerobi. I don't know if I'll fight for your Q-tip or what, but he's definitely Jerobi.
Yeah, I don't know how you keep Brooks Essence around without, I mean, I can like get a box of records or something like that, but
we gotta look up a conspiracy theory of the week. That's how we'll keep it. That's how we'll keep his essence alive. But shout out, Brooke, man.
We'll have
Dr.
Umar Johnson. Dr. Umar Johnson. I was just pull up his Twitter. I was having a Twitter page.
We just got to play some Umar Johnson clips.
Yeah, I'll just keep his Twitter page up on the side so I can see what's new.
That'll work. That'll work. But Lakers won, so they're up 3-1. It looks like they're on their way. So y'all could celebrate out there in LA. Do some low key riding and ghost ride the whips when they clinch that title.
Hell no. What are they doing that? They doing that online? Well, no. Oh, what are they doing that? What are they doing that? I remember somebody sent me a video of them doing that in Atlanta earlier this year. And when they're on the expressway, it's like, oh god. No, they were like doing donuts in the middle of the expressway.
Oh, okay. That's for no reason. Because I'm like, I know Atlanta ain't winning.
They don't need a reason to turn up. I mean,
that's true.
So
that's true.
Yeah. So hopefully we don't. Now, hopefully we don't have those problems. Hopefully we can win gracefully.
Right. That's too much to ask though for a lot of Lakers fans, but a lot of them don't even be in LA. A lot of them just be online. They be like 1,000 miles away from LA, but they be some of the most obnoxious Laker fans. But
well, I mean, turning up online is fine. I mean, if you want to be a fool on Twitter, go ahead. Just don't be a fool on the 405, the 5, the 105, the 10. Just don't be doing a fool on there. You can turn up online all you want. People got to go to work in the morning, so don't be, causing accidents and shit on the freeway. So
there you go. Yeah. There you go. Keep it classy, LA.
Yeah, keep it clapping.
All right, Dave,
All right.
man. We'll holler at you next week, man. Love, bro.
All right, man.
All right, man.
All right, peace.
All right, look at the screen down below. We are Regal Radio, War Media. That's the destination for everything that you heard here tonight and everything you'll keep hearing here on YouTube and thereabouts. We are RegalRadio.com. All right, as well. Home base. Keep checking us out. Thanks for all y'all who watched this. And yeah, we'll check y'all later.